Welcome! Warrior is going to be incredible. We already tried the Fissure Warrior pre-patch and it's slamming. Create your volcanic fissures, put your totems on top of it. They can be triggered every 0.2 seconds and vop, 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 vop. Everything just goes up in flames. And that is without the fissure buff. That is without the Forge Hammer right now. And without the Warbringer giving us another bonus totem. We started yesterday at level 1 and rushed all the way through level 33 without a single issue. I think it's 4 hours from 1 to Act 3 almost to the end. Crazy. Now you're gonna say, Pony, I don't like putting totems down into my fissures. I want to use my Supercharged Slam. And hey, you can do that. So we're making our fissures, then you do the Supercharged Slam, and it goes vop, 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 vop. That's not actually bad, but it is actually bad. Because if you compare this to the totem, so I'm going to put down my fissures, and then I'm going to put down my totems, and the fissures can be activated every 0.2 seconds. What's happening more often? My totems going off, or the Supercharged Slam going off? And that's only 3 totems, and I can actually have 4. The gameplay of this build being pretty amazing fun for the leveling portion. You pretty much on level 3 get your totem already, put it down, it's going to slam once, enemies get primed for stun, bone shatter. That's your fun and amazing level spree. And as you can see, it just allows you to zoom through everything. And I did get my fissure only at tier 9. You're actually going to get it at tier 7. So we're going to be able to do what I'm doing with the fire explosions earlier than ever. The very interesting thing will be the use of multiple support gems. I did start my journey with Bone Shatter and Rolling Slam, and the Bone Shatter instantly got the Impact Shockwave, and also the concentrated effect for massive damage bonuses. Then we equipped our Rolling Slam together with Martial Tempo and Rage, partially also using this on our Mace Strike, and with patch 03 I can now use multiple of the same support gem. Ergo, my Bone Shatter has Impact Shockwave and concentrated effect. My Shockwave totem on level 3 gets Martial Tempo, as well as my Rolling Slam and or my Mace Strike. Yes, they're all just going to get Martial Tempo. Same actually goes for Perfect Strike, because we're sure as hell still going to use Perfect Strike with a window of opportunity, and then the Martial Tempo. Also, doing my leveling with the Shockwave totem to simulate the buff on the Warbringer that your first answered call node is now giving you +1 totem. We had to run the Overabundance and the Persistence gem. Without these two, I could already make my totem stronger. Considering my Shockwave totem does 76 base physical damage, and it's being currently summoned by this 99 damage Maul with 3-2 melee skills, because obviously more skills does give you more totem damage. Well, in the new patch, the totem is going to use your weapon as a base of damage, and I already picked up this little bad boy with 189 physical damage and 20 lightning on top, which means my Shockwave totem should technically do more damage if it's actually then taking my weapon base, instead of having to force in levels and being literally forced to take the level 2 melee skills, which still is going to turn out well. But if you then actually get a weapon that does massive more damage, you will do more damage. There's also a very interesting buff to Perfect Strike. Sometimes it just felt that it is too short, and they doubled the Perfect Strike range from 17 to 35. The interesting part is you don't actually want to play it with that bonus range, because they also nerfed the damage somewhat. Instead, what we're going to do, we're going to have Window of Opportunity on for that insane bonus damage. And then the concentrated effect that is on my Bone Shatter will also bonus end up over here on the Perfect Strike. This is going to cut your range again lower, but since you have double range right now, and then you're going to be losing that range for more damage, you're pretty much at the same range as before, but that's fine because you know how to handle that range and you get more damage. And in the gameplay, you can see the Volcanic Fissure going already very well, very ham. That's considering that we have to play Upheaval for 40% less damage to simulate those 2 bonus fissures. Without this, like, look at the damage boost that we're getting. We currently also have Primal Armament on and the Fist of War, as we do the totems first and then the fissures, just to have it ancestrally boosted. Obviously, there will be some other support gems. Planners in the description below. That's going to be the reality planner of how it's going to be looking in patch 0.3.0. But along with these 3 already, if you want to try it ahead of time, it feels incredibly good. And that's not everything Warrior is getting, because finally, we are actually always hitting. We're never missing. Jonathan said this in the reveal. Warrior is not supposed to care about accuracy. Currently, you're being forced to pretty much play resolute techniques. Your hits can't be evaded, but you also never deal critical hits. If you're not playing resolute techniques, you're going to be charging up a full perfect strike and simply miss. You're going to be trying to hit with a bone shatter and simply miss. Without resolute techniques, Warrior just felt awkward, even if you do stack some accuracy into it. But that's not what you want to do. You don't want to go for that. You want to actually hit things and have them also get crit. Without resolute techniques right now, my bone shatter sits at a 96% chance to hit, and you would think that's going to hit a lot. No. It's like every third or fourth hit is actually missing. And my perfect strike with the charge up time, if that one actually misses a single time, is already devastating. After patch 0.3, you should always hit without even investing into accuracy. And if you then get a little bit more dexterity, you should always hit, I reckon. I hope this works as Jonathan is saying, because as a warrior, having to completely forego critical strikes simply to exist, it's just dumb. Another interesting thing that's going to hit the fissure is the area effect, because the increased area of effect for attacks, not the damage, sure the damage works too, but the increased area effect is not only influencing the kavoom of your totems, it's not only going to be influencing the range of your perfect strike, because perfect strike is obviously an AoE ability, right? No, it's going to make your volcanic fissure longer. Instead of having these 3 tiny branching arms now, it should be almost screen covering. And that is also including the forged hammer you're throwing, because you're going to throw forged hammer, walk in with a cry, boom, the forged hammer explodes. We're going to get the big fissure that is going to be increased by area effect as well, plus your actual fissures, plus your totems, plus the jacked ground that your fissures are making, because you could put the jacked ground support gem on. And you really want to do this because the jacked ground eruption now deals 237% attack damage, previously 24 to 53%. Shockwave totem scaling with your weapon, jacked ground exploding even harder, could be nasty. In order to scale the damage of the build, especially since we're using the totem and the fissure, we get a scale AoE, melee, slam, we get fire too, and on the shockwave totem, you obviously have the totem tag on the tippity top, which means anything melee related is already great, like these nodes here in the beginning, melee damage, this is all boosting the totems and your fissure damage. It works for both, which gets followed up by any kind of area stuff. Area of effect increased and also attack area damage increased. And with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, you have another bunch of nodes over here. I am currently level 33, and I made my way down to the totem tree for the +1 maximum summon totem. And with overabundance, I'm simulating another totem. But technically, if I use overabundance, I would already have 4 totems. And that with level 33. That's so incredible because they buffed the Answered Call, they buffed the Ancestral Spirits that pump out of totems. They now come out faster than ever, and the Ancestral Jade Hulk no longer charges and instead uses a War Cry to buff nearby allies to have 50% increased damage. The Leap Sam also has been improved. And with summoning out 3 to 4 totems, that Jade Hulk is going to come more often than not. And they also buff the Jade Heritage. It currently gives you stacks of Jade every second, and they go up to 10 stacks for 10% physical damage reduction. Usually, they would get lost on physical hit and slowly deplete. Not anymore, they just stay. A fixed 10% damage reduction until I use Encased in Jade for a huge amount of guard gain. But probably not even going to activate it as I just run around with that bonus fizz damage reduction. The main component of the build will be the Volcanic Fissure and the Shockwave Totem, including the Forge Hammer and a War Cry. And the gameplay loop will always be throw hammer in, spam your totems, walk up to the hammer, War Cry, and then spam fissures. And that should technically rip everything apart, as it's already doing, if your totems don't already finish things, if the fissure is not actually needed and only needed for bosses and elites. Now we only have the current existing support gems without knowing what the tiers actually do, and without the new lineage support gems that might change things in the future. Preliminary, you want your Shockwave Totem to run around with martial tempo, brutality, inspiration, if they're not lowering the cost substantially, and also magnified effect. You could technically go for Ancestral Call to pump them out further. The most important one will be martial tempo though, over everything, to just have them erupt faster, that they hammer into your fissure. And in order to get your fissure out fast, you also want to have martial tempo on it, so you can just simply do it faster. Then we can put jacked ground on it because the totems will explode the jacked ground from the fissure with primal armament and potentially rage as you're spamming it down to actually stack up rage if we're not playing rage on melee hit or fond of rage on the shockwave totems. Bone Shatter is still going to be a sturdy companion because if you put your totems down and your fissures, there's most likely going to be someone primed for stun, and you can then hit him hard with a concentrated effect, impact, shockwave, and execute to boom, add bonus massive damage. And while you're leveling, you want to have either your Rolling Slam or your Mace Strike together with Rage and Martial Tempo. It can be annoying to use the Rolling Slam because you often get staggered out of it, and you end up just being better off doing Summon Totem, Bone Shatter, and against bosses, Mace Strike to actually build up the Rage, so your Summon Totem gets more damage and your Bone Shatter also hits harder. And in the beginning of the leveling curve, you definitely will want to use Perfect Strike. Sure, they nerfed it slightly damage-wise. It's going to be an absolute staple regardless. Especially with the bonus range allowing us to play the concentrated effect, you still have the window of opportunity for that bonus damage shebang. And then last but not least, you can put the martial tempo that's usually reserved for your other stuff also on it, because we're now in patch 0.3.0, and that's just simply fantastic, leading to massive damage on the Perfect Strike. Herald of Ash kind of complements everything we're doing because we're definitely going to be overkilling things with the Bone Shatter or your totems or your Volcanic Fissures exploding. Then we're going to be adding the Forge Hammer to this as well. Sadly, it's not in here yet, so you'll have to wait that I can add the Forge Hammer. And the supports for that ability will be tested here on the live stream. I'll be there Friday, I'll be there Saturday, I'll be there Sunday. I'll be, testing every in and out for that Forge Hammer so we can see how well it fits in. And the KM's Warcry, the new one as well, that makes you explode with fiery shaboing. Every step you do creates fissures and boom, 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 lava explosions. It's kind of cool. But since the KM needs glory, we need another Warcry, and I think we can actually stay with that Infernal Cry for the time being. Or maybe the Seismic Cry. But I think we're going to be staying for the Infernal because I like the empowered attack. Since you're going to be doing Shockwave Totem, Shockwave Totem, Shockwave Totem, Hammer, do the Cry, and then the Infernal Cry is going to empower your next attack, which is going to be your Volcanic Fissure for that Super Fissure, which can easily be bonus buff with a Premediation gem that we're going to get another 15% damage out of the Infernal Cry. And for traveling through the skill tree, you will want to pick up the melee damage, as we said before. And as you're going upwards through all the melee damage, you need to get yourself a lot of strength, but also dexterity, because we're using a lot of martial tempo gems. This will require dexterity. And pick up the bonus skill speed and mana cost converted to life cost node. Otherwise, it might get iffy to actually summon stuff. Then I move down with Alacrity all the way with these two nodes to our bonus totem, as this is the best bonus totem you can get because it doesn't have a downside like overabundance that you then have to play the persistent gem as well. Plus on the side you can get increased attack speed per summon totem. Now as you knock out these two, the next thing you 100% have to do is skill mana cost to life cost, skill mana cost to life cost, skill mana cost to life cost, and also the 18% skill mana cost converted to life cost plus 10% reduced mana cost of attacks. Without this, you're going to be sucking yourself dry and sit at Jamanra and not even be able to summon your totems anymore. That being said, if they actually reduce the cost of totems substantially, they said it's going to be a bit better throughout the game, generally on gems with the level scaling. Maybe we can leave away the price of freedom and just take these three nodes, and it might be enough that you can then early move into the side here for the bonus totem damage, and then also for the bonus totem placement speed to get the totems out faster. This is currently level 33 for me, so we're sitting at the end of Act 4 kinda. And our next stop would want to be all the way over here to the strength that we can actually pick up another +1 totem, which then brings us to 4 totems in total. That's crazy. It's +1/+1 plus the Warbringer +1 over here. Nasty. And from that point forward, we can work on getting more area of effect. We can work on getting more area damage. We can work on getting more area damage here over on the side. Not sure about taking fire damage nodes because it would only boost your fissure, but it wouldn't boost your totems. and we're kind of looking for things that boost both and not just one of them. In order to tell you further what to do, I have to play it. I have to see the new supports. I have to see the new clusters that we're getting. Real experience beats any theory crafting end of the day. And that's what the live stream is there for, so don't forget to subscribe to find your way back for those live streams, and also check out our Ascendancy rating, plus the 12 major changes that you might not be aware of yet. Enjoy, and hopefully I can see you on the Warrior.